Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I wanted to make a second video involving division so that families had a tool or resource they could refer to so that they could help their child with their division practice at home. I know sometimes, especially with a strategy that we're not familiar with as adults, it can be hard to know what to do, how to help them without just kind of telling them the answer or telling them what to do. So I'm hoping you will find this video helpful. Um, so on the screen, you see three things. On the left here is the hundreds, tens, ones, or HTO chart. This is how division is first approached with kids, starting a little bit in third grade, more focused on in fourth grade. And this is what we kind of build off of in fifth grade to use an algorithm that we're calling short division. Now, if your son or daughter is already doing long division and they're doing it confidently and accurately, then great. You don't, need to get them to do it a second way. It's kind of a personal preference. So we have this HTO chart here, and this is probably what looks familiar from when we were kids, the standard way of setting up division, and it works for both long and short division, so it's going to be set up the same way. And the problem here is 73 divided by 5, and I have that over here too. I have 7 tens and 3 ones, so I have 73 over here and then 73 divided by 5 here. And then the last thing that you see are the list of multiples of 5, or our 5 facts, we'll also call them in class. And I know 5s aren't, the most challenging, but I wanted to just put it there as a visual example of what we are encouraging the kids to do in class. Not everybody does, not everybody has to, but it can be a very helpful tool to have them list the multiples of whatever they're dividing by. So in this case, 5, so that they don't have to stop and rethink every time, okay, what multiple gets me closest to what I'm looking for. They can just look at their list and use it as a reference point. So encouraging them to make the list of multiples first is a great idea. And a lot of them are doing it already independently, which is fantastic. So I kind of want to walk through what maybe you can do if they're still struggling to know the steps or like to know what to do. You can maybe do something like this HTO chart, and then kind of relate it how I will to kind of help them bridge the gap between what they already know and what they're trying to make sense of. Okay. So they know, just like we do, that, you start with a larger place value. In this case, that's the 7 and the tens. There's no hundreds here. So visually, it helps the kids see if that's ever a struggle. Yes, this is the largest place value. So I have 7 in the tens. And I'm making groups of 5. I'm dividing by 5. So, over here, I can circle as many groups as I can. In this case, only 1, obviously. And then over here, it's also, okay, what multiple of 5 gets me closest to 7? And they know, and we know that we can't go over. So which one gets me closest to 7 without going over? Well, yeah, that's just 5. So I was able to make one group of 5, whether it's, on the multiple, or I can visually see. So you could make that group and circle it on your paper as your son or daughter is doing this over here. So I can make one group. So I'm going to put that 1 up here, so I know that's how many groups I was able to make. And then what we've talked about is, okay, I don't use this group of 5 again, because if I keep using it over and over, I'll never stop. It'll just keep repeating. So I have to get rid of it. I don't want to use it again. And we get rid of it by taking it away or subtracting. And so 7 minus 5 is 2. And you can see how good I am writing with a mouse, right? And what they can relate it back to is after they circle that group of 5, they see that there are only 2 left over. So making that connection between, the subtraction part. Why do we subtract? Well, it's because this is what we would have left over here. Okay. And once we have this, okay, what do we do with these 2 extras? We would bring them up over to the 1. So you can kind of show that. And what they can do with digits in the algorithm is, okay, I'm going to bring this 2 over to the 1s. I would have 23. So let me quick make 20 1s. I know this isn't, and this is a good time to remind them that this isn't the most efficient strategy, right? This is kind of tedious and kind of boring. And plus, there are a lot of chances to make a mistake drawing lines or counting lines or circling them, so it leaves us open to a lot of silly kind of being human mistakes. But now I can see over here, I have 23 ones, and I can see with digits, I have the number 23. So again, making that connection. So then I go back to my original idea of I'm making groups of 5. So how many groups of 5 can I get out of 23? Well, let me see. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 would be too many, right? So I can't make 5. I have to make 4. And as they're doing that, you could kind of show them, well, I can make 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 5 right there. So I have 4 groups on the HTO, and I can show it up here. And again, I want to get rid of these that I circled. I don't want to use them again. And this is sometimes where they get confused. They sometimes maybe want to subtract 4 because they made 4 groups, or some other things like that. So reminding them, you circled 20 dots, 20 lines, whatever you want to call them. So that's what you're getting rid of. You don't want to use them again. You have to kind of get rid of them. So when you get rid of the ones that I circled, you're left with 3. Okay, so you would have 3. And we did just talk about recently going into the next place value and not leaving it with a remainder. So we could even think of this as, well, I have a 10th place that I could use, so let me use it. So I'm going to have to use the 0 that's always been there and make sure I put a decimal point in. Okay, but the same steps apply to what we're doing. So I have 3 extras. So, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to draw 30 dots. And again, not the most efficient, especially doing it with a mouse. And certainly not the most interesting to do or to watch. But by making those concrete connections, and this is a little abstract because we're just drawing pictures, we're not like physically counting, but still making those connections between what we know and what we're trying to make sense of can be very helpful. So I'm going to bring those 3 over, and that's going to be 30 tenths here. So how many groups of 5 can I get out of 30? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I would circle all 30 of them, 6 groups of 5. And we can very clearly see that there are no leftovers, because when I get rid of all 30, we're done. There's nothing left to do. And I always say, that makes me happy, so let's draw a smiley face. So if you find your daughter or son struggling a little bit, just making the connections and maybe tripping over a step or two, maybe you can do the hundreds, tens, ones chart, like that more visual way of doing it, while they do the more, I guess we'll call it abstract, but the way of using digits or numbers. And it might not always happen right away, but over time, just the more they practice it, they'll make those connections and they'll become more comfortable using the numbers and digits, and they'll kind of move away from those dots and lines that they draw. Okay. So I hope that made sense. I hope it was helpful. Please always reach out if you have any questions, and have a great day. I will see you soon.